All right, what is up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's gonna be a life update. It's gonna be something. So I'm sitting here in the Sprouts parking lot. I actually came to pick up like some natural pain reliever. I ended up getting this thing the young lady recommended, and it's called Cramp Bark. I just took it about 5 minutes ago, and I will say, I think Shorty made a good recommendation because, baby, I'm really feeling myself. This is like day 1 or day 2 of my cycle, and usually I'm like out cold and my cramps start bothering me, but I feel pretty damn good. Honestly, most days I like unintentionally fast on my cycle because I just don't have the appetite, and then honestly I worry about like whatever I ingest making my cramps worse, and usually my cramps don't start getting crazy until I eat something, you know, spicy or dairy or sugar. So most of the time I'm just like, yeah, never mind, like I don't even need food. So I have about 12 signs that I want to talk to you guys about. Me and my husband moved from Los Angeles, California to Dallas, Texas in November of 2021. We started the process months before, you know, trying to find jobs, trying to find a place to live, and it's pretty hard to do, you know, being in another state, especially as far as California, where, you know, we didn't visit or anything like that first. So we had gotten approved to 2 places. It was either 2 or 3 places, and we were between basically the 2. I knew from photo which one I was vibing with. This is the perfect place. It had really good lighting. I was all down for it, okay? So when we made it to Texas, we went to view both of the apartments that we got approved for, and the place that I just felt like, yes, this is it. When we got to the apartment, we had walked on the 3rd floor where the unit was supposed to be, and when we got to the 3rd floor, I was looking around, was like, yo, what is that smell? Like, it was cigarette. It was very loud, and I'm just like, oh my god, I can't live on a floor with a neighbor that is like blowing it down like that. Y'all, come to find out, the leasing manager let us in this unit, you guys. It wasn't a neighbor, okay? They were pressuring us to sign a lease while in California for a unit that had literally, like, whatever the resident like staying there before, they had to have been a chain smoker because it was embedded into the carpet, the walls, everything. And she told me they had replaced the carpet, they left the window open for days, they had an O2 cleaner, O2 air purifier, but you could see in the appliances, they were literally yellow, like literally yellow, and they used to be white. And 3 hours after we had left, I was still smelling cigarette smoke on my clothes. I told Jay, absolutely not. Like, absolutely not. Like, cigarette smoke is something that I cannot do. So that was number 1. So pretty much by default, we went ahead and went with the 2nd unit. Now, I was in love, you know, like when we first moved in, I was like, okay, cool, this is cool. The main thing was that it was north facing, so it didn't get a lot of sunlight. So that was a major thing to me. The sun is really motivational to me, but the leasing agent basically sold it on its ability for us to save money, like in the summertime, or, you know, not having to run the air conditioning and stuff like that. So I will say, in that aspect, I think it did maybe save us money, but in terms of my overall energy level, like, I feel like it was very low because we didn't get a lot of light. The second issue that ended up happening at that apartment complex was the second week we had moved in, both me and my husband's cars got hit up for our catalytic converter. And so I was driving a Prius at the time, and they could only order factory direct. So like, I had to wait a month and a half. This was like right out of COVID, and everything was taking so long to ship. So I was out of a car for about a month and a half. Then they got my husband's car. No, they got my husband's car first, then they got my car. So we were relying on my car, and then once my car got hit, we were both out of a car for like a month. I think he was able to order like a aftermarket part, so his might have been a little bit less time. But in terms of like both of us getting back and forth to work, that was a struggle. We had to Uber a lot. We were walking 2 hours just to go to Walmart. Like, it was ridiculous, you guys. 0 out of 10, do not recommend, super ghetto. And the apartment complex we were at didn't want to pay. Now, they did offer to like let us out of the lease, even if we wanted to go tour other places, you know, and try to move out. Like, we're already out of so much money, and then for us to have to re-put down a deposit and all of that, we just decided to stick it out. So that's not it. By the end of this lease, we were coming up on the year, I want to say, and I went home to visit my mom. When I opened my, well, not home, I went to Chicago. When I opened my suitcase, y'all, my mom literally was like, Megan, do you smoke cigarettes? And I'm like, no. And I'm like, oh my God, do you smoke cigarettes on me? Y'all, all 4 of our neighbors that had moved in since we'd been living there smoked cigarettes, and they smoked indoors. So at this point, it's like we done picked the apartment that didn't smell like cigarette smoke and ended up smelling like smoke anyway. And my mom literally was like, it smells like you smoke at least a pack a day. I'm like, so I'm going to work, like I'm constantly smelling like cigarette smoke, y'all. Like I don't even smoke, like me or my husband doesn't smoke. So at this point, like I'm just getting frustrated because I feel like I started having symptoms of like secondhand smoke. Like I was having like throat problems and like ear problems, and just like overall just not really feeling it, and constantly feeling like I smell cigarette smoke all the time. So the last straw that pretty much kicked us out of that one was the cigarette smoke, and then there was a domestic dispute. So the last like month or so, me and Jay were waking up every day to noise behind our head, like in our bedroom, and we shared a wall with somebody. And it turned out the girl had like a hard drug addiction, and I think she was in like an abusive relationship or something, because she would wake up, y'all, at like literally 5 o'clock in the morning screaming at like bloody murder, help, help, like running out of her apartment yelling help. And so we had called the police numerous times, and finally they like identified the woman, and like it just was just the whole thing. And I'm just like, I do not want to be at home. And then they get into like a dispute, and then somebody shoot a gun and the bullet comes through the wall. Like I was just thinking the worst. I was like, we need to go. So we ended up moving to like inner city Dallas, to a studio. But before we had moved, y'all, I had worked at European Wax. So I'm waiting on my license to transfer from California, and I only needed 150 more hours. I called every single school in Dallas, and everybody wanted me to start the program over. So I'd be out of another like $10,000 to $20,000, and then I'd have to take the state board, and that's gonna put me at about a year anyway. So I just decided to go with the option number 2, which is literally just to wait a year for your license to transfer. And so I was really frustrated, and I was pretty much grieving like the fact that I'm not going to be able to work in my field when I had literally worked so hard to get my license. In 2022 I had gotten my license February, and but so God came through. I ended up getting a job at European Wax, and literally got myself fired because I was posting about the job on social media. So like I wasn't supposed to discuss the pay or like aspects of the position or whatever, and so that's my fault. Like I definitely didn't take the measures to like make sure that the content that I was putting out was not, you know, against like the policies and stuff that I was working with, because honestly and truly I was hired by them without my license completely being here. So like that was a clutch situation where, you know, like I pretty much had a good situation until they ended up firing me. Now once they fired me, I think I had, at that point I was at like 10 jobs or so, I don't know, like I had worked a crazy number of jobs, and I was like, okay, let me go ahead and work with a staffing agency. So I got a staffing agency. So the staffing agency hired me for, I was working at like this drapery company, and I absolutely hated it, but I was like, you know what, let me put my head down. Like I just got to do what I got to do, because like what else am I going to do? You know what I mean? Like I got myself fired from European. Like I'm pretty much at this point just trying to buy time until my license truly gets here. So I started working at the drapery place. I was on time every day. Like y'all, I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, going to the gym. My job was 8 to 5, and then I was off weekends. And I was like, okay, you know, I hate the job, but it's clutch. It is what it is. Like I'm gonna do what I gotta do and put my head down and just go to work and get it over with. I was at that job for like not even a month, you guys, like maybe a month and a half, and they ended up firing me. They said that my performance wasn't up to par. Like I just really wasn't a good fit, pretty much. Like it wasn't that I was late, or it wasn't that I was negligent in any way. It was literally like they're looking for somebody who is super good at call center, you know, And that just wasn't me. Like, I mean, I knew that before taking the job, but I was just like, you know what, I just got to do what I got to do. But sometimes, you know, God will put you in a situation like he been trying to tell me, like, girl, what's going on? So I got let go from that. And then at this point I was like, okay, let me really think. So once I put my head to paper, I was like, okay, let me go and look for something in property management, something in real estate. Said at this point I had worked at Dry Bar, Sephora, Ulta, European Wax, the staffing agency, Dillard's, and then this next job was Fishy Urban Flats. So it was a property management company. I hadn't gotten fired from all those jobs, obviously. I had worked at Waffle House, y'all. Like, I was literally doing whatever I could do to try to bring in some money. But anyway, so I ended up getting hired by the property management place, and I was like, okay, oh yes, like this is it. At this point in time, we were down to one car, so I was taking the train and 2 buses to get to work. So I was waking up at like 6 o'clock to be at work by 9, and then I was off at like 6:30 to get home, and I would like cook and everything. We would do it all over again. The initial excitement for this job wore off probably in the first couple months, but I do feel like, you know, it had potential, and it honestly, like, I had a lot of experience with sales and stuff, so it was probably the best fit that I had at that point besides using my license. So I was there, I was gonna be good with it, you know, and just wait it out until my license. A week of my wedding, you guys, literally when I say I was in the office with 1, 2, 3, 4 people, all 4 people had quit. All 4 people had quit. I was the only one left. My manager, my assistant manager had, oh no, he fell and broke his leg. My coworker quit, and then I had the lady who was training me who was not there permanently, but she quit the company as well. So all people had quit. At this point, it's just me running this 500 unit property. Like, I'm just in the office, and I had my wedding. I told them about my wedding when I first started. So like when they hired me for the job, I told them the week that I would need off. That was it. I don't even think it was a full week. Like, I think I really just took off like Thursday through Monday or something, you know. When my week came, like, all right, when my wedding came, and I told the district manager, like, hey, you know, everybody in this office is quitting. I think I need to go ahead and put in my 2 weeks. This is crazy. And she's like, well, if you don't work the weekend of your wedding, you will not get your commission. There's literally nothing I can do about that. I'm not canceling my wedding to work here for the day. Like, you need to find coverage. It's not my company. If I don't work that weekend, I'm not gonna get paid even if I come back and finish out my 2 weeks. So I just said, screw the 2 weeks. If you want to be petty like that, like, find somebody now. You got it. So I had put in my 2 weeks, and I was just gonna finish out that time frame up until my wedding, which would have been like a week and a half. But y'all, 3 days before my wedding, my car was parked in the parking garage at work, and my catalytic converter got stolen off of my new car. I had just put my down deposit in, everything pretty much strapped for cash. Like, we're paying for a wedding, I just got a new car, and then my converter gets stolen off of this car. Do you think they offered to help pay for my car? Absolutely not. And so that's when I really was done with that job. Like, I was just like, yo, get me out of here. Like, y'all done already they stole like $1,500 to $2,000 from me of commission, and they're like, oh, your car is your problem. When I checked the camera to see about my car, the video literally skipped the 3 minutes that whoever it was stealing off of my vehicle. And I don't think it was foul play involved. I think it was just the fact that the camera is hella old and it just didn't get that footage. So then we were like, okay, let's not give up on Dallas just yet. Like, maybe these are just, you know, trials and tribulations, a lot of trials and tribulations. But we was like, let's, you know, maybe we could go in with friends on an apartment. So we were looking at a 3-bedroom townhouse. We were all gonna have our own bathrooms, and it was gonna be me and my husband sharing the apartment with 3 other adults, so another couple and 1 other guy. So it was gonna be 5 of us in total. The rent was gonna be like $500 or less per person. And y'all, this was a super nice, over 2,000 square foot townhome, 10-foot ceilings. We had a garage. We definitely could afford it. All of us were employed at the time. It was just a matter of getting approved. So we had applied, and the office where we applied had an issue with that there were so many adults. And they're like, oh, there's just so many of you guys. Mind you, the law says that there can be 2 adults per room. So technically speaking, we could have had another entire adult. I don't know if they were just mad that we not gaming the system, but it's like at the end of the day, like we have to do what's best for us. And if, you know, rooming with people is saving money and like we're able to get by with that and save, absolutely, that's what I want to do. But they definitely had an issue with that, and I hate to bring color into it, but I definitely think that played a part. And so we ended up getting denied for like a very trivial reason. They said that they were looking like through the records, and one of our friends had been late on their rent one too many times, but it was falling off within the month. Basically would have qualified within that same month. We would just have to have applied again for that same unit in 30 days. So it was like super petty, but they went ahead and denied it. So it was just like, okay, that's a sign that we're not supposed to do that. So we decided not to go forward with that. So then me and my husband were like, okay, let's look for a place on our own. So we find a place we really like, and it had a trail nearby. We're like, okay, Daisy's gonna be happy, we're gonna be able to walk. It was a really nice 1-bedroom, not the max of our budget, but it was definitely more than what I wanted to pay and what we would have been paying had we moved in with our friends. But it just is what it is. It was like, maybe we're just supposed to, you know, do this on our own. So I had been asking this dude to show us this unit for the month, okay? Like we had applied, and then he said the unit wasn't ready. Like every time I called to check on it, it wasn't ready. The day that we're supposed to move in, he's telling us, oh, we could come take a look at the unit, but he has to have the paperwork signed and back to him that day. And I'm like, there's no way I'm about to go look at this unit today and sign for it today. Y'all trying to rush me. I'm signing an entire contract for like a year and over $1,400. That's like me going to test drive a car and seeing it one time and just like, no, like I'm gonna get the feel for it. I'm gonna make sure the mileage is right. Like I wanted to make sure that everything was gonna be right. You feel me? Like I just feel like it was rushed, and me and Jay had to work that day, so there was no way that we could have gotten out there to see the unit. And my car was in the shop at that point because my catalytic converter had been stolen off of this car. So we were back down to one car. We were both working our jobs and leave our job to go tour this unit and then be rushed into signing a lease. So I just told them, like, you know what, go ahead and cancel that, bump that, you know. And we actually had a friend come through, was such a huge blessing, and rented out a room to us in her house. So that was great because it's like, okay, we do not have to sign a contract, and we can just, honestly, like Dallas is just not feeling like it's it. So I went ahead and we moved in with her, and then I ended up getting hired. My license finally came. And so I was like, okay, cool, everything's cooling off now, like we're getting settled. I went ahead and applied for a brow position with my most recent position. So I was a brow arch expert. So I started this job right after the wedding. It was like May. It was awesome. I was working at a location I really liked, and I love the employees there. We vibed really well. So they ended up getting rid of my position because they said they didn't have the hours to support it, and said I could move to another store and be full-time in the position and still be working in that same capacity. And I said, you know what, I want to use my license, so I'm just gonna leave this store and go to the other store. Boy, was that a mistake. When I say the vibes were completely off at this new store, the management was like, it just was not good, you guys. The vibes were off, the management wasn't there. I felt like most of the time I was like on the floor by myself, and they ended up firing me because of me being late. We have an app where we can clock in on our phone, and I would rush to work. So that is definitely a learning experience. I was running behind a lot of times when I should have been more on time. So there's no excuses there, but I would get to work and I would clock in from the parking lot because it's an app on our phone, and we just had to be clocked in by 12:05. I didn't know that we couldn't clock in from our parking lot. So at the point when I had too many points, like I think it was like 8 points we could have. So I had like 6 points when they told me about it, and they said, you know, because you've forgotten to clock in, or you clocked out late, or you've been late to work. I think I had only been late, you guys, in the full 6 months that I worked there. I think I've been late 3 times. Like it really wasn't even just me being late. That was a part of it for sure, but that had to have been 3 times. And when I say late, I'm talking like a minute. Like it wasn't even like I'm running in 10 minutes past the time, you know. So really what got me was forgetting to clock, and at the end what got me was the manager that I feel like was trying to get me fired the entire time, she looks at the cameras and she's like, yeah, I saw you clock in and walk in the store after you clocked in. But with the app, we have to just be within a certain distance of the store. So from my understanding, it's like, okay, you know I'm here. Like, if I can only clock into the app if I'm within a certain radius of the store, which is literally in front of the store, like I can clock in and park my car and walk in. It's not like I'm intentionally clocking in and then going to Walmart. You feel me? Like, I'm clocking in and I'm literally walking from my car to the store. But she looked at the camera and she said, yeah, so the times that you have been clocking in on time, technically you're late, so we're gonna go ahead and fire you. Literally didn't even get a warning, oh, you can't clock in from your car. It's really frustrating because it's hard trying to, like, I am taking accountability, but at the same time, a lot of these things that have been happening is literally, I just have to take it for what it is. You feel what I'm saying? There's been sign after sign that it's just time to go. And although I've had a lot of lessons and a lot of things I could have done differently here, at the end of the day, like, I have to take it for what it is. Dallas does not feel like it's in alignment with where we're supposed to be. We've had a lot of support. We've had a lot of friends. I have family here, people that have really been our rock and really have stepped in. You know, thank God for my husband, because he's really been a source of calm and a source of peace throughout this. And he's not the type of person, like, you know, each situation where I have had to call him and be like, babe, they let me go, or I got laid off, or this happened or that happened. Like, he's not the type of person that's gonna throw it in my face or condemn me or, you know, bring guilt and shame. Like, he really is so patient, and I'm like so freaking thankful. I lift my hands to God that I have the husband that I have, because I know not everybody is that fortunate. But I'm just bringing this video to y'all. Hopefully it inspires you, because it's like every time something happened, I literally would pick my damn bootstraps up and be like, bro, that's okay, we got it, you know, let's go. Like, and I'm reapplying myself out here. Like I told, I've had 12 jobs in a year and a half. At the end of the day, something is just not gelling, something is not in alignment. And recently I've really been reading the Bible, I've really been in prayer, I've really been in meditation about this, and this is just something that God is making very clear. So I don't want to feel like I'm giving up on Dallas, but at the same time, it's like, you know, not everything is for everybody, and that's okay. And you got to be good with that. So I hope, you know, something I shared today can encourage you guys, or, you know, you can see the struggle that I've been through, but also the perseverance that I've had, and then for me to come and even share this and be vulnerable with you guys. But I love, you know, the comments that I get from you guys. They are so helpful. Like, honestly, every time that I've been through something rough and I post it on YouTube or whatever, like, people are way more encouraging, you know, than I guess, like, I expected them to be. So I'm thankful for your prayers, and I'm thankful for your continued support, and you guys continue to watch the channel. I hope, you know, in a couple weeks I'll update you guys on, you know, what the decisions are and kind of what's going on with us. But I love you so much, and God bless, for real. Y'all have a good one. Bye.